Each week, nearly a dozen movies are released theatrically. 40 films a month, more than 400 a year. That's a plethora of cinema. Too much cinema. You'd have to be an addict to see all that. But don't fret. We've got you covered. This is CinemAddicts.
Hey everyone, what's up? It's a new week of CinemAddicts. This is CinemAddicts episode 318. It's going to be a very short episode for a couple of reasons. First of all, we did Patreon. Eric Holmes and I just did finish Patreon. Number two, not too many movies this week, except there's one big movie that we're going to get to. It's called Anniversary. Third reason, Eric Holmes is actually, as we speak, he has a sinus headache and it's really affecting him. He's going to work within the hour and he needs to go to his local pharmacist or whatever area and to get ibuprofen or Tylenol or aspirin, whatever that is. And Eric Holmes, I'm not going to ask you how you are because you look like death warmed over.
I'm doing great, Greg.
Yeah, you're doing great. You look like death warmed over. You look like me on a good day. You look really bad. I
don't feel warm either. I'm dead cooled over.
Yes, exactly. And the reason why I'm putting a little bit more bass in my voice right now, because I don't want Eric to listen to my fake voice and Greg Zerowski's fake CinemAddicts voice because that's ring in his ears.
Your voice in any capacity.
Thank you so much, Eric Holmes. But Eric Holmes, before we get to the big movie that we're going to talk about this week, you have a couple of movies as well that you're going to talk about. I think it's up to you, Eric, whether you want to talk about them. Possibly Eric will talk about, if he can, Junkie. Everyone asked about you. I don't even know what everyone asked about you is about. Then he's going to maybe give some quick thoughts on House of Dynamite, which has been out on Netflix for the past week. Thank you, Eric Holmes, for actually watching that Catherine Bigelow film. I'm going a mile a minute right now, folks, and I apologize because I kind of want to not get this over, but I want Eric to feel good. Actually, get in his vehicle, get the aspirins or Tylenols, pop it in his mouth, and feel better because we all know sometimes the drugs do work, right? The good drugs, the drugs, OTCs, the over-the-counter drugs that will help him with the sinus headache. And next week he'll be off and better. If I was in Eric Holmes' situation right now, I would have just called in sick and said, Greg, F you and F CinemAddicts, F everybody, especially F Bruce Purkey. I'm not going to do this week. But you're a trooper. You're a trooper, Eric Holmes. We love you for that.
Iron Maiden did write a song about me. The trooper.
The trooper. Eric, okay, without much further ado, let's get to the movies
real
this
quick.
week. Yes.
Before we get to the movies, there are, it's 3 short films in an anthology series. I don't know what or if there's an embargo on this, but I do want to bring out that they're coming available.
Okay.
Tales from the Woods. You got Cinderella, Jacques the Giant Slayer, and the Sleeping Beauty. Cinderella, directed by Adam Egypt Mortimer, who did Daniel Isn't Real. Jacques the Giant Slayer, done by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, from The Endless and Spring.
Never heard of him.
Oh yeah, me neither. Haven't heard of this. Haven't heard of the third filmmaker either, The Sleeping Beauty, written by Christopher Larson and directed by Matty Doe.
Matty what?
Yeah, Nate never heard of Matty Doe ever. Never seen Chantilly or Dear Sister or The Long Walk.
Matty Doe is he a good director? Matty Doe?
Fantastic. But either way,
we love Matty Doe. By the way, it's a she. Oh. She's a master in cinema. So
yeah, Matty Doe is great, and we'll get more into those next week. I think it's planned at Brooklyn Horror Festival, or maybe has already played at Brooklyn Horror Festival, but I'm not sure if we can do it this week or next week. I gotta look that up. I just wanted to bring it up. Just 3 great directors, and then Matty Doe, she's on a class all on her own. But
what Eric Holmes is saying, okay. If he had $100 million to spend, okay, and he was the head of a studio or just a producer with $100 million, flush in cash, Matty Doe would be one of the first directors he would call to bankroll a film. Am I correct on this?
No, not one of the first.
The first. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Maybe Anderson and then Matty Doe, but definitely she's within the first.
I wouldn't give Anderson one penny. He left CinemAddicts. He abandoned his boys. Me, you, and Bruce Purkey. He abandoned us, Eric Holmes. You'd still give him money?
I love Anderson.
I love Anderson too.
Anything he makes, I'm in.
We love you, Anderson.
But either way, I didn't want to give it short shrift this week, so just bring it up this week, and we'll talk more about it next week. But
okay,
yeah, Matty Doe's got a. It's a short, but 20 minutes of Matty Doe is better than no minutes of Matty Doe.
And if you want to actually purchase these short films, you can go to ericholmes.com. He makes money on the side. I'm kidding, folks. That's a joke. I just made a sinus headache like even worse. But Anyways, so these shorts, they're out in the ether right now, Eric Holmes, or just look forward to them. We're going to actually bring more color next week for next episode, right?
Yeah, I don't think they're out yet.
Okay.
Doing like festival stuff, which is another reason why I'm not in a big hurry to talk about. Okay. Hey, here's a movie you can't watch yet.
If you've seen The Long Walk, Stephen King's The Long Walk, out in theaters, or whether or not, that's great. But have you really seen The Long Walk?
No.
Directed by Matty Doe. That's a
thing is, both of them, fantastic movies.
100%. So look up Matty Doe, Mattie space Doe, D-O. Google that. Listeners, Matty Doe. And then find her films, literally. And then, like Eric Holmes has done a bunch of times, watch them. Back and forth, left and right. Mm-hmm. On loop. They're all, you love them all, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I think we talked about this before. It's like all of our movies that I've seen are 5-star movies. 6.9 stars really, but I've considered that, like, from now on, if Matty Doe comes out with a movie, we have to give it's a 5-star. It's a foregone conclusion that whatever she does is going to be a 5-star movie. Now we got to rate it for Matty Doe. So like a 1-star Matty Doe movie is still a 5-star movie by any other metric, but this is now the new Matty Doe's. For us, has created her own awards,
a rating. No, not a rating system. Her own rating. Yeah, she's pretty much on the Mount Rushmore. We love her as a person. I think selfishly, more importantly, we all love her movies. And then our buddy over at the Movie Bears podcast, who introduced her work to us, William Lindis, we got to give him credit. He's always sung the praises of Matty Doe years before me, Eric Holmes, and Bruce Purkey got on that requisite bandwagon. So again, is it called The Sleeping Beauty or Sleeping Beauty? Oh, it's The
Sleeping Beauty. And it's all tales from the woods. So they're all like Brothers Grimm kind of fairy tales, and they're all done in like a sort of, each one takes an interesting twist to it.
Eric, can you stop with your sinus headache and make that $100 million so you can give it to Matty Doe so I can watch some really good movies?
I'll
please?
Get right on that.
Please get right on that. Okay, so again, The Sleeping Beauty.
Look, we got a quarter right there. 25 cents.
I'm going to throw in a quarter. Yes, we're getting every close to $100 million to raise money for Matty Doe's next film. But again, if you don't have $100 million, maybe you have two sets of eyes, maybe 2 sets of eyes, pair of glasses. Go figure out and find The Sleeping Beauty, short from Matty Doe. And then again, like I said, check out her other works as well. And then the other movies that Eric's going to add some more color to next week is Jacques the Giant Slayer. And also there's one more, that's Cinderella. Okay, so really excited about that. Eric Holmes, before we get to our main movie this week on CinemAddicts, you guys are going to be hearing from Bruce Purkey in a few moments because he's going to give his take on this movie. Our big movie this week, our only real big meaty movie this week, that's Anniversary. Eric Holmes, you want to just give a roundabout, very quick thoughts on any of the other stuff that you saw within the past week when you were not in Vegas? I have here Junkie. Everyone asked about you. Whatever you want to do, because I know your energy is failing you. So I want to eke whatever energy you have right now with some reviews before
like all great actors, I'm going to use the pain to my advantage. Okay. The first one we'll go with is Everyone Asked About You, written and directed by John Lacey, starring Rachel Bailett. Simone, she was a child actor that was abused through the system, grew up, became an adult actor, and still being abused through the system. The movie's definitely low budget, but this is like one of those where you can tell by watching it and even talking to the John Lacey and Rachel Bailett that like this is something that was personal to him. As much as like Hollywood likes to pretend that they're altruistic and we're gonna speak out against this and that, this was a movie about that sort of thing. Definitely low budget. I wish this had more budget to it and maybe more time and resources. I think it would have been a lot better. As it is, not the greatest version of this, but I think their heart's in the right place and their passion about this sort of thing that's going on comes out. And then there's still some filmmaking stuff that is interesting about it. Ultimately, this could have been a lot better, but this is what we got for now. And that $100 million, I would give a couple million of that to John Lacey to maybe make a a less low budget and more kind of polished version of this, I think it would have been a lot better.
The aforementioned John Lacey won Best Director at the Indie Vegas Film Festival. I'm looking at Everyone Asked About You movie.com. That's their official website. It's currently streaming on, I think, on Amazon, streaming on, I don't know if it's actually streaming on Prime Video, but I think it's available on digital, Eric Holmes. I don't.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
I also should point out Rachel Bailett. She's great in this. She's kind of like one of the cool things about her character in this is that, especially like when she's as an older actor in this, she comes off as like mean, or she'll have like these wild mood swings, which would normally like turn you off to her character. But I think a lot of that, it's just a neat touch in this where it's like her character's not perfect. And it's like, oh, why is she flipping out? It's like, well, she's been mentally abused her whole life. So of course certain things are going to trigger her or make her act this way or that. She wasn't portrayed as, oh, look at this perfect angel that never does anything wrong. She's flawed just like the rest of us, but she also has this history of abuse, which I think is an interesting kind of take on this. But
yeah. So Everyone Asked About You is available on Amazon, and we will provide the Amazon link for you guys to stream. It seems like a very important subject and interesting subject as well. And Eric, what is your rating on Everyone Asked About You?
I think I'll go 3 stars on this.
3 stars from Eric Holmes. Did you do the interview? Did you interview them?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I will actually download that as well. I apologize. Eric does so many interviews that I actually am behind on these Eric Holmes' interviews on our Cinematic YouTube channel, which please, this CinemAddicts podcast is available on various platforms like Spotify.
So,
yes.
Certainly rough around the edges. There's some things that could be done better, but as it is, not bad.
Okay. Not bad. And then check out Eric's interview with them you interviewed both, was it Rachel and then John? Did you interview them together or separately, or?
Yes, I interviewed them together.
Okay. So I will put up that Eric's interview with them up on our CinemAddicts YouTube channel. Again, if you subscribe to our channel, you get our podcast, our weekly CinemAddicts, no monetization, meaning there's no ads on our YouTube channel. And eventually, once we get to CinemAddicts monetized, that weekly podcast will not be monetized, will not have ads as well, ever. So I want to keep it ad-free on our YouTube channel, but for people, if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or iHeart, whatever, you're going to get ads. That's fine, because that helps us with some revenue as well. Thank you guys so much for your support. And again, speaking of indie support, Everyone Asked About You, we will leave the Amazon link if you are so inclined on our show notes. Eric Holmes, before we get to anniversary, do you have any other things you want to talk about, or you're good?
Yes, I do. Next up, we got written and directed by William Means, starring Rocky Shea as Stevie Chapman is Junkie. And man, oh man, I was watching this, and so basically Stevie is a junkie and does a lot of drugs. Life's falling apart. She gets in a situation where she needs to leave town, but before she does, she wants to find her son and at least say goodbye or mend bridges as much as she can before she leaves. But before that happens, she gets put in a situation where she has to sell some drugs, and the drugs get stolen and the money doesn't come to her. So then she goes back to the dealer and was like, look, they pulled the gun on me. I don't have the drugs. I don't have the money. I don't know what to do. They're like, well, you have a history of blah, blah, blah. You think it's going to go this way. And actually what happens is, all right, let's go get our drugs back. And so there's that whole thing. And then you see her, she's not trying to get clean, but at the same time, her journey towards mending the robbery, trying to go back on that. And then also her journey to find her son and make amends with him. She didn't set out to get clean, but that's where her arc is sort of going. And another cool thing about this movie is, like, as much as it is about addiction and drugs, it's funny as hell. Like you think a movie like this would just be a bummer all the way through. It's really funny. On top of that, there's a ton of detail in this where you're watching the movie and you see the way characters act or interact with each other, or certain things they say, or certain things that happen in the movie, where I'm watching this going, oh, they didn't make this up. They've lived this life. And sure enough, do the interview with them. That's the first thing we talk about is, yes, an ex-addict. I'm like, totally makes sense. So it's kind of like the difference between like watching a movie like Rockstar, with Marky Mark, and they're like on the stage and acting a certain way. And it's like
that's Mark Wahlberg, Eric. That's not Marky.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg, and they're on the stage talking to each other, like having full on conversations mid concert, and it's like that doesn't happen. But then you watch something like Green Room and watch how Jeremy Sloan. So it's like the makers of Rockstar. You can tell that they've never played in bands or did that thing before, and you watch Green Room. It's like, oh yeah, they understand the world that they're portraying here.
Yeah,
Junkie is that thing. They understand that kind of world, and the amount of detail and care put into it just proves that, I think.
Well, you mentioned the world. There are some people who will watch, I guess, not even look at the plot synopsis for Junkie, and they'll say, well, I don't want to see Junkie because I don't want to be put in that world. But like you were saying, is it a movie that will surprise people? Meaning they may not go in wanting to go enter that world, but when they enter and check out the movie, they'll be pleasantly surprised at how much they liked it, that kind of thing.
I think what will surprise most people is the amount of humor in this. Like there's a ton of funny stuff, but there's also like some scenes that happen, especially towards the end, where it'll just rip your heart out. It's like, oh my God, like not like necessarily a tragic thing, but like a just emotional thing. It takes you on the journey, but you think, oh, it's about a drug addict, so it's just going to be a bummer all the way through. We talked on the Patreon about Boogie Nights. On its face, you would think, oh, Boogie Nights is going to be this dark thing about porn and the underbelly and this and that. But then you watch Boogie Nights, and there's a ton of humor in that. It's on that same level with Junkie. It does some serious stuff, talks about some serious stuff, has some, especially between Stevie and her son, it's got a bunch of really emotionally powerful moments in it, but there's also a bunch of silly moments where Stevie's just being a clown and hilarious. So
we also have to mention
you get the spoonful of sugar with the medicine goes down. Was that Mary Poppins, I guess?
Possibly.
Junkie's like Mary Poppins. There you go.
We also have to mention that Junkie is one of the executive producers is Patty Jenkins, the filmmaker behind the two Wonder Woman films, and of course Monster. Patty Jenkins is
Monster and Wonder Woman and probably some other things. We don't talk about this.
Very talented filmmaker, is one of the executive producers. So obviously she sees some talent in William Means. And from Eric's interview, check out Eric's interview. It's on our CinemAddicts YouTube channel. You can tell from William is basically putting his heart and soul and his pocketbook into Junkie. There was no plan B. That's the vibe I got from him. And what's great is from Eric's review, it seems like the plan worked, right? Because what ended up was a very good movie, Eric. So,
oh yeah, I don't know if it was plan B, A, C, whatever, but it was pretty damn good. Pretty good.
Pretty good. So yes, Rocky Shea is great. Yeah, Rocky Shea is, I'm assuming.
Good God, Rocky Shea. Like, and that's another thing. Like having lived that life and then being able to bring that into something that obviously she's not living that life now as part of her past, but to be able to draw on that and just get such a wonderful character out of Stevie, like she freaking crushed it in this.
Okay, so that is Junkie. What is your rating? It's not currently available for streaming or distribution. I think, I forgot what film festival it played at. It's looking for distribution, but it's one of these movies that I think will get its distribution and get a release down the road. But
this is definitely one to keep an eye out for. This is 6.9 all the way.
Wow, 6.9 all the way. Written and directed by William Means.
Put this movie in my veins.
Wow. Okay, so Eric Holmes has the early skinny, the scoop on Junkie. Please put that in your radar. Rocky Shea. It seems like
your veins.
In your veins. It seems like it's a performance that you might be really excited to see, and hopefully Junkie will roll around our local theaters or local whatever streaming platforms down the road, and you can thank Eric Holmes for that. Before we go, Eric, I know you wanted to talk about Catherine Bigelow, but you can talk about Catherine Bigelow in a few moments. I think Bruce Purkey, he reviewed the assigned pick Smoke Signals on our Patreon. I know you're under the weather. Smoke Signals, we'll do a quick mini review, and I want to get your thoughts on it. Movie is Smoke Signals.
That's going to be tough. I did not get to Smoke Signals.
Oh, you didn't get to Smoke Signals.
No,
okay, well, not. I will talk about...
But you can tell me all about it.
Okay, so Smoke Signals, it's written by Sherman Alexie. The director is Chris Eyre. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Eyre. Quote, the good thing is Bruce Purkey actually got to this, and he has a more in-depth review over on for our Patreon patrons. So thank you guys for supporting us. But for people who are not part of Patreon, I will say this about Smoke Signals, this was released in 1998, but actually this was 1998. For Patreon this month, we spotlighted the year 1998. So for our sign pick, we have Smoke Signals, and it actually, again, it's directed by Chris Eyre, and it's based on, I think, a book by Sherman Alexie. Yeah, it's based on the book The Lone Ranger and Tonto Fist Fight in Heaven, and it focuses on these two friends, well, sort of friends. One of them is Victor Joseph, played by Adam Beach. You might know Adam Beach from Flags of Our Fathers. He's a great actor. He's been in his share of films. Also, there is another person called Evan Adams. That is Victor's friend. Thomas builds the fire. He's just known as Thomas. And what's interesting is they go on a road trip because Victor's father, played by Gary Farmer plays Arnold Joseph. Arnold is an alcoholic, and he's passed away. And after he passes away, his ashes are somewhere out. I forgot what specific state. I'm thinking maybe Arizona. He passes away, and he was living in a trailer out in the middle of nowhere. This character played by Gary Farmer. So Adam Beach's character, Victor, he goes on a road trip with Thomas. They go via bus to visit his late father and pick up his ashes and then go back home. That's the premise of Smoke Signals. And the reason why it's called Smoke Signals is not just because of the culture of the Native American Indians living on the reservation, but at the beginning of the movie, you see what happened. The young kid, Thomas, was part of a fire, and there was smoke all around the house. And the Gary Farmer character, the Arnold character, he goes in and he saves Thomas. He saves the baby by catching the baby. The baby's thrown out the window, and Arnold catches the baby. And because of that heroic action, the grandmother of Thomas thanks him so much. She said, what you did was a heroic thing. And Arnold is taken aback by that really wonderful comment, and he doesn't know how to deal with him being a hero because Arnold doesn't see himself as a hero. And what Arnold does, this heroic act which he did some years back, it makes him even more self-destructive and more alcoholic. And ultimately, Arnold becomes a self-fulfilling alcoholic, and when he passes away, obviously he leaves a whole bunch of demons in his wake. And the movie tries to figure out this father and son dynamic with the father passing. And it's an interesting coming of age story for the two guys, Victor and Thomas. Thomas looks at Arnold in a very heroic light because Thomas's life was saved as a baby. But Victor, who's the real son of Arnold, he realizes that his dad was abusive, his dad was an alcoholic, and he has a lot of hatred towards his father. His father left him some 10 years back. So this road trip is fraught with a bittersweet tone to it, but there's also a lot of humor in Smoke Signals as well. And it's a really nice coming of age movie. And Eric mentioned Rocky Shea as her performance in Junkie as a standout. This movie has some great standout performances from Gary Farmer. Irene Bedard, you guys might know her as the lead in Pocahontas in that animated film. And she plays one of Arnold's final friends during the last moments of his life. And then the actors, a young Adam Beach and Evan Adams as Thomas, they work well together as friends. It's a really solid coming of age road movie. My only complaint was towards the end, there's an inciting incident regarding a couple of cars, which I don't think needed to be there, but that's just a minor quibble. It's a really well done road film about making sort of a peace with your parent and also trying to move forward. Very touching without being saccharine. And the chemistry between Adam Beach and Evan Adams as the two friends is really cool because Victor looks at Thomas like as a sort of a geeky nerd guy who talks too much. But Thomas looks at Victor as the sort of the big brother he never had. So I really love that dynamic as well. And what Eric was mentioning, going back to the Rocky Shea performance, it's great to see these actors like Gary Farmer, Adam Beach, Evan Adams, Irene Bedard give such great performances. And unfortunately, this was back in 1998. And I wish now I should probably go on IMDb and look up more movie credits from Farmer, Bedard, Adams, and Beach and wonder if hopefully over the last 27 years, I hope they were as good as they were in this movie. Because if not, then casting directors really wasted their time. They really should. Basically, Farmer, Bedard, Adams, and Beach, they're all wonderful in this movie. And I hope within the 27 years, there's a couple of other projects that they were in that I really loved. Of course, Adam Beach is a well-known actor, and there's still a whole bunch of Adam Beach movies I still have to see. The one I really remember Adam Beach from was, of course, Wind Talkers, and also, what else? Flags of Our Fathers. Those are the main Adam Beach movies. So for the assigned pick, Smoke Signals, released in 1998, I'm giving it, written by Sherman Alexie, I'm giving it 4 stars. This is a really well done film. Really enjoyed Smoke Signals. And that is it for 1998. For next month, for our Patreon, we are covering the year 1997. Eric Holmes and I will have an early jump on 97 because it's not even going to be a Patreon assigned pick. It's going to be an early pick from 1997. We're going to watch this movie called City of Industry. If it's available on digital, we talked about City of Industry in passing over on our Patreon episode regarding an actor, Wade Dominguez, and we went on this whole different tangent about how brilliant that movie City of Industry is. Hopefully it's available on digital. So Eric and I.
It's on Tubi, Pluto, Zumo Play, Roku Channel. Yeah, it's on all that stuff.
Oh my gosh. It's one of these things where I just might even, I'm not telling you to do this. I might even want to watch it without the commercials. That's how much I love City of Industry. That's how much I love this movie so much. CinemAddicts listeners, have you ever seen City of Industry? It stars Harvey Keitel, Stephen Dorff, Wade Dominguez, Timothy Hutton. Have you seen this movie? Tell us what you think. It is one of these lost movies, crime, thriller movies that I think are just really amazing. Harvey Keitel versus Stephen Dorff. I love this movie so much. But that's it for this episode. Eric Holmes, I know you got the sinus headache. Just quick thoughts on the Catherine Bigelow film, which House of Dynamite. There's another one that I should probably talk about. What? Which one? Anniversary. We forgot Anniversary. I don't think we should talk about Anniversary. You know why? Because Bruce Purkey did a 14-minute discussion of, can you believe it? So that means that gives us the leeway. So
but he's not verbally filleting the movie the way we will.
Okay, verbally
filleting. This movie is awesome.
Yes, verbally filleting family show. But we love this movie. We're giving it chef's kiss. How's that? Family show, PG rated.
Who's the director? It's Lori Rosine Gambino.
She is
directed by Jan Kamasa. Who is Jan? Or
Jan Kamasa. Yeah, Jan Kamasa, the director of this movie called The Hater, and of course Corpus Christi.
Oh yeah, there you go. So pretty good director, really good writer. What Greg? What's Anniversary about?
Anniversary. I'm going to look at the Rotten Tomatoes very quickly. Quote, in this gripping thriller, a close-knit family is caught in the turmoil of a controversial rising movement known as The Change. Ellen and Paul, they're a married couple. They're played by Diane Lane and Kyle Chandler. They witness their lives fall apart when Ellen's former student Liz, played by Phoebe Denevor, reappears and starts dating their son, played by Dylan O'Brien. This person, Liz, she is the one that writes the book that inspires this movement called The Change. And Liz's book becomes a cultural phenomenon. And ultimately, what that phenomenon, it's not just a bestseller, it becomes a political and social game changer for the people in the United States.
It basically becomes a political movement that
overtakes.
Imagine the Constitution. This is the new version of that, and people just latch right onto it.
Right. What would and the main theory, without giving too much away, the main thrust of it is what would happen if we lived in a world where it was just one party, one thought, one thing. Would we cooperate together if we live by the same rules? And there's no division. We could get more done. That is part of the quote, The Change. And what's interesting,
which is a god awful idea on its face. And Diane Lane's character is like, yeah, this is the great thing about this. Is like Diane Lane, like just clocks this as a bad idea to begin with,
right?
And then when Phoebe starts dating her son, she's like, oh, this is weird. And people are like, oh, you're overreacting.
Right.
Oh, maybe I am. People have their ideas. It's fine. And then she's overreacting. Let people have their opinions on things until that opinion becomes policy. And now you're stuck in the middle of it when you should have just stomped it out to begin with.
Exactly.
One of the things I love about Anniversary is just that very point of why can't I believe what I want to? Well, some ideas are bad. Some ideas are harmful. And if we just let you gallivant on with your bad ideas, it's like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's harmless. They're allowed to think what they want to, and you are, but I'm also allowed to criticize what you're thinking. And so
until you're not.
And so, well, no, that's just it. Had Diane Lane's character, Ellen Taylor, had she leaned into those bad ideas and was a lot more vocal about it instead of like, oh, no, we don't need to talk about that here. No talking politics like if she was able to fully express her disdain for the ideas, that may not have taken hold the way it did within the movie. Right. But instead she was like, oh, just don't talk. Let them believe what they want. Let them do what they want. And then there's no dissenting voice early on. So that little spark becomes a little flame, and that little flame in no time becomes a wildfire. So it's like, hey, the world's flat. Let me believe what I want to. It's like, well, I could do that, or I could call you an idiot and point out why you're wrong about it. And maybe I'll look like an a-hole doing that. But the 10 years ago, the idea of flat Earth,
right?
It was a joke. And now there's a ton of people that believe that. And it's ridiculous. It's like this movie's kind of a microcosm of that. And granted, in this one, it's a political movement, but the idea that if you let bad ideas sit, eventually they're going to breed and become out of control. And then
let's not get it twisted. This movie's directed by Jan Komasa.
Yes.
If you've seen Corpus Christi, there is not a message. There's a theme behind his storytelling, but that doesn't. There's a theme behind Anniversary, and Eric is hitting these marks. Let's just say that Anniversary, since it's directed by Komasa, it's also a visceral film. This has thriller elements. So if you're saying, oh, I don't want a talky, preachy political film, no, there is actually some cinema involved in Anniversary. But it's interesting cinema because this political strife and the struggles and all these changes, you see how it affects members, not of the world, but members of this family. Anniversary deals with the 25th anniversary of the couple, again, played by Diane Lane and Kyle Chandler. They gather all their kids. And then that is the origin point of the bomb that's about to drop on not just this family, but the rest of the U.S. But you don't see it outside the walls of their home. You see maybe some exterior shots, exterior moments, but a lot of it deals with this family in their home as they reunite on different anniversaries, and you see how their lives and the world outside their doorstep has changed. So I think it really works well as a genre film and as a political film. This is a great, great film. It currently, on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 66% rating, which...
That's incredible. Holy crap, that's incredibly low.
I think, though, Bruce Purkey, without giving too much away, I'm not going to say if you recommend... Look, listen to Bruce's review in a few moments.
Oh, are you pointing out that some people are like, I do this, I'm going to give it a 1 star, like
well, I think to your point, yes,
divisive in that sort of way. Then 66 makes sense.
It's a divisive movie. I think some people may see it, but I think it worked for me as a movie as far as the thriller element, because we got to mention that there's Dylan O'Brien. There's also Madeline Brewer's in this. She's very good. She plays a stand-up comic, a very successful queer stand-up comic who is the daughter of one of the daughters in the married couple. The other daughter is played by Zoe Deutsch. She's an environmental lawyer. So you get little subplots that deal. McKenna Grace, thank you. McKenna Grace, she plays the teenager, the young one in the family, the baby lamb in the family, but she is also probably one of the smartest people in the family because she is a science nerd, and she may have a couple of tricks up her sleeve regarding her thoughts on the change without giving too much away. And she's very passionate about science. And is she passionate about the change? Yes or no? You're going to find out within the context of the film. It's a powerful movie. I wish this movie was getting a lot more run, meaning a lot more momentum, because Diane Lane is so good in this movie. And then there's a scene with Dylan O'Brien and Kyle Chandler, father and son, talking. And it is, to me...
Dylan O'Brien's transformation from the beginning of the movie to the end.
Oh, fantastic. Dude.
Like the character at the beginning of the movie and that character at the end of the movie is like
so
night
good.
and day different.
Great performance. And then specifically, Eric, that moment between father and son where Dylan O'Brien's character meets his father, he's talking about his father's business. And you're wondering, is it a discussion out of love? I'm not going to give away what happened in the scene. It's so menacing and powerful and beautiful. There are so many great sequences in this movie.
Well, the cool thing about this movie is he gave away everything. Like all that whole brand I went on at the very beginning of this, that's one tiny part of the movie at the very beginning.
That's right.
There are so many ways, like the whole fact that this political movement happens and you're following the family. And then there's the movie's even got stuff to say about complacency.
Mm-hmm.
Because well, this is what it is now. And then even some characters are like they think they're above it all. Turns out, maybe not. you thought you had a free pass here, didn't you?
And Phoebe Denevor.
I guess you did not.
We got to mention Phoebe Denevor as Liz, the person who writes the book that inspires the change.
Yeah.
I forgot what the name of the book was, but you're thinking, does she like the family? Or is Liz on a revenge mission against the Diane Lane character because she was possibly ostracized? Or yes.
There was a part where she tries to emotionally manipulate Diane Lane and she was not having it.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I was screaming at the screen going, oh.
And then you're actually questioning at the end whether this Liz character, is she being an emotional manipulator or has she turned the tide and actually become part of the family? You don't want to spoil that. You don't want to spoil that, Eric. You just spoiled it. Did you just spoil that?
I didn't. No.
Really?
It's pretty clear that there might be a little gray area in what she's doing, but I do not think that her character is
really.
Her character knows what's going on.
Okay, so we'll comment below if you think that's a spoiler or not. But yeah, but maybe not. Maybe it's not a spoiler.
Again, we could tell you from the opening credits to the closing credits, everything that happens. There was so much interaction here. And the way they take the ideas and the movie kind of explores those things, we could tell you from credit to credit what happens. It doesn't matter because how the movie explores it is there's so much here. It's incredibly dense. And
it's incredible. Yeah.
It's also great. It's also a bit on the nose. So like the people that hated Academy Award winning Don't Look Up.
Yeah, Bruce Purkey. Okay.
Look,
me too.
And only him and no one else.
We're gonna blame Bruce Purkey for this, and me too.
But
me too.
Like Anniversary is not coy about what it's trying to say.
No,
it's got a lot to say. It's very dense in that regard, but it's not like, oh, maybe it could be this, maybe it could be that. What's your take on what's going on? Like this movie has a very specific point of view of what it's trying to get at.
Yeah.
And it doesn't shy away from it. And I think that's great in a movie like this. Much like I like Don't Look Up. It's like, ooh, is climate change bad? Isn't it? It's like, no, it's very clear. Granted, not very clear, because if it was very clear, it'd be about climate change, not a meteor. But it's very clear of what their position is on the thing.
Yeah.
And they're making a satire of that. This is like more of a dark satire, if anything, or maybe just say, here's what we're headed towards. Don't know. But holy crap, this movie's good.
What, Eric, we've covered so many movies over the years, hundreds upon hundreds of movies every single year. I started this with Anderson back in 2015. And I've been with you and Bruce for the last at least 5 years. I'm assuming maybe 2020, 2019. I don't even know the year that we all started with Find Your Film and then transitioned over The
20.
CinemAddicts.
It was during COVID.
Okay, very good. 2020, very good, Eric. Corpus Christi is one of those movies, one of those few movies, maybe top 30 for me as far as movies I will never, ever forget. So my question to you is that, of course, that's directed by Jan Komasa, Corpus Christi. Anderson loved it as well. Eric, you love that movie as well. Do you feel with Anniversary, since this movie is an American film, has an A-list cast, do you think Jan Komasa's vision was diluted with a bigger release in Anniversary or not?
No, I would reframe that question. I don't think Laurie Rosine Gambino's vision was diluted for this.
Right.
Because as far as I can tell, I don't think this is the first screenplay she wrote, but I think this is the first produced screenplay, maybe. I don't know. She's a fantastic writer. All the ideas that come through in this and the way they're presented, I think that Jan Komasa was a boon to have her as a writer. Like that, they both help each other. Jan Komasa is a great director. Laurie Rosine Gambino is a great writer. This is the only version of the only sample I have of her writing. But yeah, they crafted an awesome movie. And I think they elevate each other. I think Jan Komasa understood Jan Komasa, or Jan, is Jan a male, female? I'm not sure.
It's a dude. Yeah, it's a dude.
Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, they got a story by credit. Yeah, it's just perfect marriage of material and execution.
I totally agree with you, Eric. 66% currently on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm going to say this right now. It's currently in theaters. There will be detractors of this movie. Bruce Purkey, even though I'm not going to spoil his complete review, does not love it as much as me and Eric, but at least he's on a good path regarding Anniversary, his final thoughts on.
He doesn't hate it like he did Don't Look Up.
Right. Okay. So listen to
I don't know if he hated Don't Look Up, but he definitely, yeah.
Yeah, listen to Bruce Purkey's review in a few moments over the Cinem-Attic. But there will be detractors. This Rotten Tomato score is 66%. It might even, who knows, it might even the next several days go even lower. I feel, and I don't know if you agree with me, Eric, Anniversary will be one of those movies where you're going to have a bunch of critics naysaying or people have their divisive opinions on Anniversary. But then when it comes out on Netflix or a big streamer several months from now, or maybe a year from now.
Or when the stuff in the movie happens.
Don't scare me, dude. Right. Or
because here's another thing. It's off camera, me and Bruce were like talking about Eddington because I hated Eddington.
Okay.
Love this one. But like Eddington took some stuff that happened in our very recent history and just got so much of it wrong and just made a mess of a movie from my perspective. I know a bunch of people like Eddington. I do not. This was written about 5 years before the stuff that's commenting on happens.
Yeah, this was written during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They wrote this.
So what the hell? Like,
exactly.
You guys got a crystal ball. You just looked into it and just wrote everything that you saw was going to happen in the future. So the idea that any of this could happen, any of the more extreme stuff that happens, like we're seeing a little bit of that already, and it's not out of the realm of possibility. In fact, it's unfortunate that the movie's coming out now. Had it came out like it was written and then snap your fingers, it's done, it would have been a lot more, I guess, impressive to people that don't understand that this was written a long time ago.
I get it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Eric Holmes, what is your rating on Anniversary currently as we speak in theaters? In my opinion, definitely give this movie a shot. What is your rating on Anniversary?
We got our second 6.9 in a 1 day or 1 week.
6.9 stars from Eric Holmes. I am giving...
And look, if you want to watch a movie and you're like, this movie sucks and blah, blah, the writing's terrible, don't be surprised when this wins an Oscar for best screenplay. I'm just saying.
This is such a really well done movie. I have feelings my fear is this movie gets really ignored come awards time, come theatrical time right now.
It might.
And I feel
unfortunate.
I still feel this movie will get the attention it deserves because great performances, really well done execution storyline wise from Laurie Rosine Gambino. Very good, like Eric said, excellent screenplay. Really solid, confident direction from Jan Komasa. Really love this movie. Anniversary for me, 5 stars. 5 stars from me for Anniversary. 6.9 stars from Eric Holmes. Eric, we got to go because I gotta give food to my dog. You got to get to work. Final thoughts you want to say before we're out of here?
House of Dynamite. Good movie. Catherine Bigelow always makes good movies. This one's real quick, just like a Rashomon style. Doesn't really play with that too much because you see the story from 3 different perspectives. Every time it changes perspective, you don't get much new from the new perspective. So it'd probably be better as a 20-minute short than a hour and a half, 2-hour movie. But
they said there's no ending. Is there ending? Is there an ending to this movie?
I mean, there is, but it's like one of those things that they cut it early, but you know what happens after the screen goes black.
All right. What is your rating on House of Dynamite?
I'll go 4 stars on House of Dynamite.
4 stars, Eric Holmes.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Check it out on Netflix. We're both
not
out of here.
Not as good as Detroit, but it's still pretty good.
And again, for our Patreon for the month of November, we are covering the year 1997. We're out of here, Eric Holmes. Hopefully you feel better with your sinus headache. Hopefully you can survive tonight at work.
I feel better now just talking about Junkie and the Anniversary.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is the beautiful medication that is great cinema. Thank you guys so much for supporting us over at CinemAddicts, but don't go yet, because here's Bruce Purkey over at the Cinem-Attic.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Cinem-Attic, the attic of cinema. This is going to be a short one this week, and like always, if it's a short one, you can guess it must be a week where we have what? Our Patreon episode. Patreon episode this week, this month, 1998. We will be covering 2 movies, only one that I've seen, The Last Days of Disco, and we'll be covering The General by John Borman. But for the Cinem-Attic, I've got 2 movies for you. I've got another movie from 1998, so once again, we always try to include one movie from the Patreon year of that month into our main episode. In this case, it is the movie Smoke Signals, a movie I'd heard of forever and never actually got around to watching. And I've also got a movie called Anniversary by Jan Komasa. Jan Komasa, I forgot to write down the names of the movies, but Jan Komasa is a really interesting filmmaker, and it looks like they're finally getting English language speaking, a little bit of a mini studio push, because this movie definitely has some money and names behind it. If you are looking at the actual video, you saw my dog just burst into the room. I guess she wants to be here with us today. Hang on. So I also this week did watch The Long Walk. I'm not going to do a review of it. I think Eric did a really good review of it, and it is a solid movie. I don't think I'm quite as high on it as he was. I do find it to be, the problem it has is it's kind of the problem of any movie like that, where you have such a situation that you get a predictability factor built into it, but it's a really good version of that. So I would say for me, it's like 3.5, 3-star banger, that kind of territory, where it's a really good version of a type of movie you've seen before that kind of goes where you expect it to go. Not a lot of surprises, but really, really well done. That's my mini review of The Long Walk. Okay, let's get into Anniversary, not The Anniversary, just Anniversary, directed by Jan Komasa. Now, here is a little bit of a list of people that are in this. It's a who's who, especially of younger up-and-comers. I didn't list all the actors. There's even more in here. But you've got Phoebe Dynevor as Elizabeth, or Liz. You've got Diane Lane. We all know Diane Lane as Ellen. You got Kyle Chandler, Paul. You got Zoe Deutsch, almost wasted in this movie, but she is part of the ensemble as Cynthia. You got Madeline Brewer as Anna, and you got McKenna Grace as Bertie, and you got Dylan O'Brien as Josh. So what is Anniversary? It's part social scathing satire, maybe not really too much of a satire, but it's somewhat of a satire, but social examination, I guess, of a alternate present, I guess would be the way to promote it. And also I look at it as an alternate version of The Celebration, ironically a movie from 1988. The Celebration was about a family gathering of kind of rich Scandinavian people, where the patriarch and matriarch of the family are having an anniversary on their celebration, if I remember correctly, or it was the father's birthday, one or the other. I can't remember the reason exactly. And their children all arrive to this place, and things go awry as family secrets start to be uncovered. Now, this movie doesn't have quite that exact thing, but it's similar setup. The anniversary is wedding anniversary. In this case, I believe, if I remember correctly, it's the 25th wedding anniversary of the patriarch and matriarch of the family. Once again, Diane Lane and Kyle Chandler. And then you have their kids. And their kids are a bunch of types. And they're very well-to-do, East Coaster type. They're into money for sure. And the types that you get in here are, you've got the famous kind of comedian daughter who's rebellious. You've got the kind of dreamer younger daughter, Bertie, who still lives at home. She's really into like the natural world. I think she's doing like science stuff in her room all the time, and she's got lots of stuff going on in there, and like she's almost doing her own little science experiments and stuff. But she's nerdy but yet ethereal and dreamy, I guess. I don't know what kind of pixie dream girl she would be, but some sort of modern version, I guess. You got another daughter who's like the lawyer, so she's a level-headed one, and that's Zoe Deutsch. And then you've got the son, who is the author, and that is Josh. It's important to bring up Josh, played by Dylan O'Brien once again, because he brings his new girlfriend, or I think soon to be wife, but his new girlfriend, I think at the time of the first meeting, which is the beginning, the anniversary. And that is Liz, Phoebe Dynevor. And for the very beginning, there's a weird energy with those two. You get the feeling that Liz is very nervous. She's meeting this giant family for the first time. She's the girlfriend deal. It's always an awkward thing. And Josh also seems to be, of all of the kids, he's the one that's not the loser exactly, but he's definitely not achieving to the level of some of his older siblings. Now, obviously, Bertie, the younger one, she's not really achieving anything yet, but she still seems like she's like the baby of the family. So she might be doted on by the parents. So anyway, you've got Josh and Liz there, and it's kind of this awkward thing, of course, when you're like the boyfriend or girlfriend meeting family, right? The awkwardness is ramped up, though, by the fact that Liz turns out to be a former student of the mother of the family, who is a professor. And by the way, I didn't mention that. Diane Lane's character is a professor, and Kyle Chandler, the father, he is like a chef. He has his own restaurant, kind of a high-end, renowned restaurant. And the weird thing about it is, once you discover that Liz was a student, you also discover that she really had a butting of heads with the mom of the family. The mom knows the student. She really didn't like the student. She thought the student, who was writing this kind of political thesis deal, she thought the student had real kind of dangerous, like, social ideas and stuff. And that becomes the basis of this whole movie, because it's a bit of a fantasy, like I said, a fantasy alternate present or near future, where essentially you are finding out that, oh, Liz has written a book. Oh, wow, isn't that amazing? They're thinking the son is the one, they're waiting for him to write his great book. But in this odd and tense and sort of acrimonious meeting they have eventually with this new girlfriend / future wife, they find out she's written a book, and it's called The Change. And the idea is that she's written a book that essentially is going to be the blueprint of this new political uprising in the United States. And the change, I guess they don't really talk specifically what the change is exactly, other than it's basically a blueprint of a world with a one-party American political system that somehow is more patriotic than two parties and gets rid of the division in America or something like that. That's the idea of it, I guess. And of course, the allegory you get here is that what it ends up being actually is the rise of a fascistic new party. They even changed the American flag to have the stars and stripes and the blue field in the middle of the flag, surrounded by the stripes. So the stars and the blue field, like right in the middle. So that tells you that we're not divided anymore. We're one nation, that kind of an idea, which sounds great until you see the implementation, of course. So the rest of the movie is dealing with how does a family deal with, or how does a family not deal with, or how does it survive or not survive, especially a family that seems to generally have liberal politics in this case. How do they survive in a world that's very quickly becoming authoritarian? And the way you find out about it in this movie is that you get different meetings over time. So there'll be jumps. There'll be like, I don't know, 20, 25 minutes of the first anniversary. You kind of get an idea of who these people are. And then you get like a political advertisement, maybe a corporate advertisement with political overtones. And then a jump, I don't know, 6 months, or not 6 months, more like a year or two in the future. And now, like, where are all these family members now? They're meeting again, and you see how the world has changed, how the characters have changed. Then the same thing happens. Another year or two pass. You meet all these characters again. They're all meeting for whatever reason, and things have changed even more because society has changed. The good side of that is you get a real interesting version of kind of all the sides of an issue by having all of these kind of types of people in this one family, and how they all are different, reacting to and being affected differently by this basically authoritarian version of America happening, to the degree that it's very like Nazi coded. But for me, what doesn't work so much, first of all, I would recommend this movie. I would sorry say I'm a 3.5 stars on it. It's very, very well directed. It's very well acted. I mean, this is one of those movies that you watch, and I wouldn't say these people are unknowns, but I say this is one of those movies where you watch and like every person in this movie could conceivably, like any of the principals at least, could conceivably have an Oscar in the future, especially with all the young, the children in this movie, which are all in their 20s, early 30s. All of these people might have Oscars 10 years from now, whatever. So that is interesting to see, like small-ish roles for future possible stars. I would say of all the characters, to me, the one that's most surprising, because Liz is kind of the showy role, right? She's the one who's coming in and becoming this kind of cultural, like, powerhouse out of nowhere, this leader and architect of a movement. But the one who's really interesting to watch is Paul, because the way not Paul, Josh. I get all the names mixed up. There's too many like generic names. Josh is the son, right? The kind of semi-loser son who's with Liz. It's interesting to watch his path because he starts out already seemingly in the shadow of his girlfriend. Already, like I said, not a loser exactly, but he's floundering as a wannabe author, not really making it, but working his way through things. And watching him become a very different kind of person by the end of the movie. And I think that's the point, is you want to see his progression and how that could happen. In some senses, he becomes the main character to some degree. And of course, you're watching everyone else in the family and how they get affected by this world. Now, those are all the good things about this movie. This shit is a movie, though, with the production it has, with the acting it has, with the tight script that it has, this should easily be a 5-star movie for me. The reason it's not is it does something that really, for me, makes the message not work as well. In the same way that, say, something like Civil War or some of these other recent movies that are trying to deal with the current state of the world, especially of the American world. And that is, to me, they are gutless and general with their ideology, which to me makes them easy to dismiss for those who might need to get the message. For those who are already on board, for who are afraid of these kind of things happening in the world and see these things starting to happen in the world and are trying to raise the alarm bells, they're already going to watch a movie like this and be like, yeah, this is exactly right. This is how it's going to happen. This is what could happen. That kind of a thing. For those who aren't, it's easy to watch a movie like this and go like, well, this is just fantasy. This is just the deluded fears of a liberal mind, and this is not how the world works. So they can easily just dismiss this kind of movie as like just useless drivel and just overheated ideology posing as a movie. And that would be, I think, a big way that kind of another side of things could, like I said, dismiss this movie. That's why I say gutless. That's what angers me about a movie like this, because it has all the tools. It obviously is using them really well. I have no doubt that Jan Komasa is going to keep making great movies and has made great movies. But here I would say the problem is they don't have a great script. They have a good script that will dazzle you like it's a great script. When you think about it, it really doesn't. Because like I said before, all of these characters are types. They're types of people, but we really don't get to know them as full-fledged human beings. The closest we get are the two parents. And even then, we're just not really getting that kind of, I don't know, just don't feel like rounded people. And on top of that, we're not getting a real version of America as we know it. And they say, well, this is symbolic and this is an allegory and all that kind of stuff, which is great. And allegories can work great for certain things. But when you know what the reality is, I think it's much more powerful and gutsy to actually adopt an opinion or actually adopt a view of the real world as it is and try to make a point or show things in a way that really takes a stand one way or the other and really takes a risk and is really like in your face, punch you in the face kind of filmmaking. This movie is not going to do that. Like I said, it's going to, like I said, like for example, you don't really know exactly what the change is. What exactly is the way that this leads to this authoritarian world that we're shown like glimpses of? And you could say, well, that's the genius of this. It's very subtle. It's like, well, no, it's not. It's wanting to have its anniversary cake and eat it too. It doesn't want to actually get into the nitty-gritty of how would this occur? Like, how would we get this world? Once again, it's like the post-apocalyptic movie that doesn't want to show you the apocalypse, just wants to get to the post-apocalypse. Well, I think we need to see the apocalypse when it's something like America becoming a full authoritarian, fascist, and quote, neo-Nazi, unquote, regime. So that is my big gripe with this movie. Once again, I'll say 3.5 stars. I think a lot of people are going to love this movie, but I am slightly disappointed with this movie because of what it could do and what it actually does instead. Okay, that is Anniversary. Now we're going to get quickly to Smoke Signals from 1998. Smoke Signals, directed by Chris Eyre, E-Y-R-E, I don't know how to say it. Starring in this, you've got Evan Adams as Thomas, you've got Adam Beach as Victor, and you've got Gary Farmer as Arnold Joseph. You may know Gary Farmer's face if you've ever seen the movie Dead Man by Jim Jarmusch with Johnny Depp. Gary Farmer is really the second lead in that movie, playing the character of Nobody. And it's interesting because this movie was made a few years after that movie, and there's a whole diatribe where the Arnold Joseph character, played by Gary Farmer in here, is doing this whole kind of thing where he keeps saying over and over, who's your favorite? This is his quote from the movie. Who's your favorite Indian? And the answer is nobody. Who's your favorite Indian? Nobody. So I just wondered if that was supposed to be a nod to his character in Dead Man. I think it might be, but maybe not. I'm not sure. Interesting. Okay, what is the basis of this movie? Oh, first, like I said before, I'd seen this posters for this movie and heard about this movie forever, and I knew nothing about it except it was a kind of a Native American-centric movie, and that it had a lot of love as this indie darling in the era. And when I'm watching this now with 2025 eyes, I'm thinking, yeah, I see that. I really see how this is in the same tradition, not style or exactly, but as Clerks and things like that in the 90s, where you're getting these kind of real scrappy indie projects that never would tend to get love before that. Probably not so much after that either. These days it might be becoming a TV series or something, but it really was in the right place, right time, I feel like. So the basic concept is you start out this is in the Coeur d'Alene Indians, which are in Idaho, right next to the eastern edge of Washington area I'm pretty familiar with. And it starts out in 1976, where you have this event where there's a house fire, and you see the parents in the burning house that are about to die, and they throw their baby out the window, and Arnold Joseph catches the baby and saves it. And It's this heroic moment, but you can tell in the moment he doesn't feel like he's very heroic, and he feels freaked out by the whole situation. But he does save who turns out to be Thomas. And Thomas ends up being raised by his grandmother. And then Arnold Joseph's kid is Victor. So you're thinking to yourself, you jump forward in 1998, so that basically these kids are now not really little kids anymore. They're in their early 20s. And you think Victor and Joseph are going to be great friends, but they're not really great friends. Victor's a much cooler kid. He's playing basketball. Of course, they're both on the reservation, but he's a kind of kid that would be pretty popular. And then Thomas is definitely not popular. He glasses. He's always wearing braids, always wearing a suit. You kind of get the equivalent that he's in the Native American Society of Coeur d'Alene. He is considered the kind of the nerdy kid. All he's doing, he's always trying to tell like stories, and he's always smiling, and he just comes across as very nerd-coded, but he seems also really sweet. And he also appears to always want to be the friend with Victor, and Victor's always kind of like not so much, not wanting to have that. And then the rest of the movie, though, what's great about it is it becomes quickly a road trip. And road trip movies can be a ton of fun. The basic concept is that the father, Arnold Joseph, had left quite a while ago. He had ran off with his yellow truck, and he had a very tumultuous relationship with Victor's mom. He was abusive to Victor and his mom. He drank a lot. He seemed to almost be haunted by this whole experience of saving Thomas when Thomas was an infant. And it was interesting. You're thinking, like, why is he tortured by that? I mean, that was a heroic moment in his life. That was a moment where he saved somebody. I mean, sure, the parents of Thomas died, which is terrible. But why would he personally be haunted by saving this young baby? Anyway, whatever the case is, he seems to be haunted, and his whole life seems to be not doing well, spinning out of control. He runs away from his family out into the middle of nowhere. I think out towards New Mexico or Arizona, I forget which one, but way down to the southwest. And the beginning of this movie is essentially Victor finding out his father has died. Thomas finds out too. And they decide essentially to take a road trip to go retrieve his father's ashes. And that is it. That's all you need with this movie. These two guys, they have this bond because of this moment when they were babies. They're bonded for that reason, although not wanting to be bonded in the case of Victor. And they're on this road trip to go get the father's ashes. Now, all this would sound really like serious, like a relationship, family drama kind of thing. And that's the thing that you have to get. It's not. This is a very lighthearted. There's almost, I don't want to say whimsical because that could sound bad, but there's almost a very light comedic touch to the whole thing, along with the drama. So comedy drama kind of mix, and weird little things will happen. And I think that's where you feel like this is written from the point of view. And I think I forgot to write down who the author was. I know this author. He's a very famous, Sherman Alexie, I believe. Is it Sherman? Do I get that name right? Sherman Alexie? A very, very renowned Native American author from the Northwest. And you get the feeling throughout this that there are details and facts that are from somebody's life. These don't feel like made up things. And I think that's what is the charm here. Not only these characters, they're not like Hollywood actors. There's definitely some rough around the edges acting moments here that aren't professional acting chops at all here. But they're so charming and so lovable. And then, like I said, there's moments that just feel genuinely odd. Like there's a really, really, really tiny little radio station that runs out of the reservation. In fact, I think it's even called K-Res. And they'll keep cutting to this one dude. I don't know if I wrote his name down. I didn't write his name down. He has a great name too. But they keep doing like traffic reports, and the traffic reports are essentially live traffic reports. And it's the dude who just sits on his broken down van on the side of this like middle of nowhere road and just says, nope, no one's here. There's no one coming by. And same thing, he'll do weather reports too. He's like, I see a cloud right now. And the cloud reminds me of that one lady we saw a long time ago. Remember that her? It reminds you of her, that kind of thing. So he gets any news reports and weather reports from just some dude sitting on the side of the road. In that way, you get these kind of really interesting little vignettes where when they're on their journey, they're just meeting people that maybe don't have a huge effect of the story, but there's these kind of moments that are just both charming, and you start to slowly get to see both characters of Victor and Thomas revealed as you go. I would say, what do you compare this to? It doesn't really compare to other movies, but I would say Midnight Cowboy. What are these kind of movies where you've got like two unlikely friends that are together by circumstance, and in both cases, like the story, the plot doesn't matter as much as the moments that these two characters experience together. And sure, is there going to be some emotional truth found at some point, especially for Victor, maybe for Thomas too? Yes, there will be some of that, and it's done well. But I think really it's just the different characters they meet along the way and the different events that happen to them along the way. It's really, really charming movie. It's a really hard movie not to at least like, even if you don't love it. I think it veers towards love for me. So it's really good. I'm gonna go 4.5 stars for Smoke Signals. I don't know why I didn't watch it before. Maybe it felt like homework. It's definitely not like homework. This is a super easy watch, super likable characters. And I don't know, it's not a hidden gem, I guess, for me, because I'd heard about it before. But I think for a lot of people, they probably have no idea what Smoke Signals is. And I would say it's worth checking out. And that is from 1998. And that's all I got for you guys this week. I watched a whole series. Once again, can't talk about it. It's on Netflix, and it's in embargo till late this month. I think I now have 3 series that I've watched on Netflix that are all still in embargo. So eventually I'll get to them all and talk about them when that happens. Talk to y'all later. Should have a bunch of new movies for you next week. I don't know what they are, but they're going to be something that Greg has dug up. Talk to y'all soon. Don't forget, our Patreon's up. It's about the same time this comes out. Our Patreon should be available within a day or two.